For some reason, I had been thinking that there were only 2 Gradius games on the Famicom. I had completely forgotten about Cosmic Wars. It's the strategy game spin-off of Gradius, attempting to merge Famicom Wars with other large-scale strategy games. Although very obscure outside of Japan, it's well regarded there. And I hate it. The storyline of the game is that humanity has made first contact with the Bacterians, and the Bacterians attack. And now you control one of those 2 sides in a battle to decide the fate of the universe. I know that doesn't match the story for Gradius Salamander or Gradius 2, but I wouldn't worry myself too much with continuity. This is a turn-based strategy that operates at 2 scales. One where you're guiding the grand strategic effort of the war, and one where you're engaging in the battles for the solar systems. The first war is solely between 2 solar systems, but if you win it, there are additional maps. Every turn is divided up into phases, and the command in the upper left-hand corner is always the command for your phase. The rest of the commands are always the same. You can look at the solar system maps, you can advance to the next phase, you have an options menu where you can save, load, disable animations, you can look at the different fleet compositions, or you could end your turn right there at that phase and hand control over to the enemy. The phases are production, recruit commanders, organize fleets, warp fleets, start an attack, move units within a solar system, and invest in planets. Once you exit a phase, you can't go backwards. And rather frustratingly, sometimes exiting the menu for the options in that phase advances the phase, and sometimes it doesn't. If you exit the production menu, you can go back in. If you exit the commander recruitment, you can't. Also, there's no reason for these phases to exist. I'd argue that 5 of those phases could occur interchangeably with no difference. And a few of them are heavily dependent on what you did in a previous phase. So if you've overlooked something and need to go back, well, tough luck. You have to sit through 10 minutes of the computer's turn before you have that option again. That 10 minutes isn't an exaggeration either. Gameplay in Cosmic Wars is slow. When you're done with your turn, you might as well get up and go make a sandwich, because it's going to be a while. In the production phase, you can build a fleet of up to 20 vessels. You get a certain amount of resources each turn from the colonies that you control, and of course every ship has its own price. Pay special attention to the command ship in the upper left. You have to have one of those for each fleet, and you might also require carriers to support some attack vehicles, like the Vic Viper. Whatever you buy will be available on your next turn. In the commander phase, you can try to hire an admiral for a fleet. You put up a certain amount of cash, and then you see who will be willing to take it. Their stats are given as playing card suits, and it's spades for offense, hearts for good luck, clubs for defense, and diamonds to increase or mitigate the effects of terrain. When you build a fleet, you have to select a commander, then assign it a flagship, and then you can assign it other vehicles. Warping is how you get to the other star system, and you have to have a ready fleet to do that. Then comes the attack phase, in which you can start your assault. Once the attack phase begins, and there's a conflict within a solar system, it does not end until one side is wiped out, so this phase could go on for hours. Attacking is handled on this zoomed-in map of the solar system with a lot of heavy terrain in it, and then each side takes turns moving all of their units. Fleets are typically 20 ships, so that's part of why this takes a long time. Some vessels like the Big Core can only engage in indirect attacks, shooting a distant enemy where they can't retaliate. Your ships also have a limited armament, and they'll have to go back to get reloaded every once in a while. Naturally, there's a mix of this unit is good against that unit, and it didn't always really make sense to me. I mean, this guy's always the first boss in Gradius. Why can't my fleet of Vic Vipers take one down? Another problem with these battle sequences is that a lot of your ships are very slow. Space is packed with debris, and so any ship that's not a nimble fighter craft is pretty much restricted to just moving 2 or 3 squares. And again, each side has to move all of their ships before the other side can go, which means this will go on for a long time. When two ships come together and engage in battle, you get these little scenes that play out. Similar to other strategy games that we've seen, every unit initially consists of 10 ships, and they weaken as they're destroyed. If you want to take a planet, you have to bring along a very particular kind of ship, the OPS. Other vehicles aren't able to capture them. Your ultimate goal is to take out the command ship. Once it's destroyed, the rest of the fleet follows. Once you're past that attack phase, you get a chance to move your fleets around in uncontested space. And then in the final phase, you can pay to develop a planet. That will get you more income from it each turn, and your starting solar system is fully developed. That's really all you need to know for playing Cosmic Wars. This wasn't the only time that Konami attempted to turn one of their shooters into a strategy game. They'd go back to this, well, with Pero Wars, spinning off of Parodius, which was a spin-off of Gradius. As for Cosmic Wars, I obviously am not a fan. This wasn't my first attempt to play it, and it probably will be my last. That poor interface and super slow gameplay in the battle segments just make it a slog. They really needed to either drop the grand strategy gameplay or drop the tactical gameplay, because when you smash them together, they just don't work.